Why you stay, even when the love is gone. Have you ever woken up next to someone and felt nothing? That strange emptiness, as if you were sleeping with a stranger? But even so, he turned to the side and stayed there. Another day, another month, another year. The truth that no one tells you is this: millions of people live in dead relationships, not out of love, not out of passion, but for something much more disturbing. They stay because leaving would mean facing the person they fear most, themselves. Today you will discover the hidden psychological mechanisms that trap you in empty relationships. You will understand why your brain sabotages every attempt to leave. And more importantly, you'll get to know the dark truth about what it really means to stay for love, and why it might be the biggest lie you tell yourself. What I'm going to reveal in the next few sections goes against everything you've been taught about relationships. Get ready to look in the mirror in a brutal way. 1. Emotional addiction. Disguised as love. There is a dangerous confusion going on inside your mind. You confuse dependence with affection. It confuses need with desire. And the most serious, it confuses suffering with emotional intensity. When the brain experiences constant ups and downs in a relationship, it releases the same chemicals as a drug: dopamine in reconciliations, cortisol in fights, adrenaline in uncertainty. Your nervous system gets used to this roller coaster ride and interprets it as passion. But it's not. It's just your body addicted to instability. Think about it. How many times have you felt that tightness in your chest when you think about breaking up? That physical anguish, almost unbearable? This is not love asking you to stay. It's your brain's reward system going into withdrawal, like a smoker without a cigarette, as a gambler away from the casino. The truth is, you don't love that person anymore. You need it, so you don't feel the pain of lack. There is a brutal difference between these two things. Love expands you. Addiction imprisons you. Love makes you light. Addiction makes you anxious. Love accepts absence. Addiction panics with her. And there's something even darker about all this. The more you suffer in a relationship, the more your brain becomes convinced that it is valuable. There is a psychological principle called justification of effort. Basically, the more you invest emotionally in something difficult, the more you need to believe it's worth it. Otherwise, he would have to admit that he wasted years of his life, who suffered for nothing, that he was wrong all along. So you create narratives. A real relationship is really difficult. Who loves, fights. There is no love without pain. These beautiful phrases that only serve to justify his arrest. You romanticize suffering because the alternative is to recognize that you are addicted to a toxic dynamic. The body does not differentiate between love and chemical dependency. Both activate the same brain regions, both cause withdrawal when absent. The difference is only in your consciousness. To recognize that waking up distressed is not romantic. That living in fear of losing someone is not intensity. That needing someone to feel whole is not complicity. It's just an addiction well disguised as a love story. 2. The fear of facing the inner emptiness. When you're alone in the silence, who shows up? That's the question that paralyzes you. Because deep down, you know the answer. That version of you that you never had the courage to really know appears. The one with the poorly healed wounds, with abandoned dreams, with the unanswered questions about who you really are. The relationship serves as the perfect distraction, while you are concerned with the needs of the other, with the fights, with the plans for two. You don't need to look inside. You don't need to confront the emptiness that exists there. That hole you try to fill with anything: work, routine, children, commitments, and mainly with the presence of another person. But you know what happens when you finally break up? All that external noise disappears, and you come face to face with the inner silence. With all those feelings you've spent years pushing under the rug. Loneliness is not just about being alone. It's realizing that you no longer know who you are without the definition that the other gave you. You had a function. He was someone's boyfriend, someone's husband, someone's partner, and that was enough as an identity. Now, without that label, who are you? What do you like? What moves you? These questions are scary more than any breakup, because they require you to build a relationship with yourself. And that takes work, hurts, it requires brutal honesty. It's easier to stay, even unhappy, because known unhappiness always seems safer than unknown freedom. You prefer the controlled pain of a dead relationship than the risk of discovering that you don't know how to live alone, that it has not developed internal resources, who built his entire life around another person and now has no structure of his own. Inner emptiness is not a bad thing. It's just a space that needs to be filled by yourself, with your values, your interests, its essence. But as long as someone else occupies that space, you don't grow. It does not mature. It is not found. He is just surviving in a relationship that has become an emotional crutch. And every time you think about putting down that crutch, panic overwhelms you. Because walking alone means relearning everything. It means admitting that there are parts of yourself that you never developed because you always had someone else to do it for you. If you can't understand why you still hold on, discover the deeper reasons hidden in your unconscious in the link to the Jung Method pinned in the first comment. 3. The illusion of time invested. 10 years together. 5 years. 3 years. It doesn't matter the number. What matters is the weight you put on it. As if time is a currency that you deposited into an account, and now you can't withdraw. As if the years lived were a debt that you need to pay by staying even more years. But see the trap. Every day you spend in a dead relationship is not honoring the past. It's just accumulating more wasted time. The mistake was not to have stayed here. The mistake is to use this time as an excuse to continue. Economists have a name for this: sunk cost. That which you have already spent and will never come back. Imagine that you buy an expensive ticket to a movie. After 20 minutes, he realizes that it is horrible. Do you stay until the end because you paid dearly? Rational people would say no. Emotionally intelligent people would leave the cinema. But in real life, most stay. He stays until the end just because he has already invested time and money, even though he knows he is wasting even more of both. The same happens in relationships. You don't want the last few years to have been in vain. Then it continues. Another year. 2 more. Until he looks back and realizes that he wasted 15 years trying to save 5. Mathematics does not add up. But emotion does not understand mathematics. There is also pride disguised in this account. You don't want to admit that you messed up. Who chose the wrong person? That ignored signs. That he was deluded. To end would be to publicly confess that you failed. That wasted time. And no one wants to be seen like that. So you stay and turn the small mistake into a giant mistake. Time does not come back. But the future is still open. Every second you stay in something that no longer serves you is a second stolen from the life you could be living, of the person who could be being, of the places I could be visiting. The past is gone. It doesn't become more valuable just because you continue to suffer in the present. You owe nothing to the time that has passed. You don't have to sacrifice your future to honor a past that no longer exists. The only thing you owe is to yourself. And this debt is paid with courage. Courage to recognize that staying for the sake of staying here is not loyalty. It's just fear disguised as commitment. And that fear is costing you the one thing you'll never get back: the time of your life. 4. The terror of freedom. Freedom should be a good thing, but to you, it sounds like a threat. Because freedom means total responsibility. It means that there is no one else to share the blame for your bad choices. There is no one else to use as an excuse for the life he is not living. Within the relationship, even unhappy, there is a structure. You know what to expect. He knows what his role is. He knows how to fill the days. The weekend has a defined format. Parties are guaranteed company. Decisions are divided. You are never completely alone with the weight of your choices. But when it's over, it all falls apart. Suddenly you have to decide on your own. What to do on Saturday night. Who to spend the holidays with. Where to go on vacation. It sounds trivial, but it is not. Because every small decision reveals a bigger truth. You don't know what you really want. He spent so much time negotiating desires, adjusting preferences, molding dreams to the couple's format, that he lost track of what is genuinely his. And there is social judgment. That look of pity from people when you show up alone. The uncomfortable questions. So haven't you found anyone yet? As if being alone were a disease that needs urgent cure. Society has taught you that being accompanied, even miserably, is better than being alone and at peace. So you internalize it. He believes that he cannot be happy without someone by his side, that your life only has meaning if you have an audience, that your achievements are only worth if you have someone to testify. This belief imprisons you more than any chain. Freedom also brings an uncomfortable truth. You are the only one responsible for your happiness. You can no longer blame your partner for not making you happy. You can no longer use the relationship as an excuse not to go after your dreams. You can no longer outsource your personal fulfillment. This is scary, because it's easier to complain about the cage than to learn to fly. Easier to blame the currents than to strengthen the wings. You remain because the known prison offers a perverse comfort, the certainty that the failure is not entirely yours. There is always the other to share the responsibility. But freedom is not abandonment. It's a reunion. It's not loneliness. It's my own company. It is not empty. It's room to grow. The terror you feel is not of freedom itself. It's what she's going to reveal about you. About how much time you've spent outsourcing your own life. And about how much work it will take to finally take control of it. 5. The identity hijacked by the relationship. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to, without considering the opinion of the other, without adapting to the taste of the other, without calculating how this would affect the relationship? You probably don't even remember, because over time, their desires have been dissolving in the couple's routine. It happens in a subtle way. You start by adjusting small things. He starts to like the series he likes. She frequents the places she prefers. He adopts his friends as his own. He abandons hobbies that do not match the couple's dynamics. An adjustment here, another one there, until one day you wake up and no longer recognize your own tastes. Even worse, you present yourself as half of something. It's no longer his full name. He is so-and-so's husband. She is so-and-so's girlfriend. Their social existence depends on this label, and when someone asks you about you, the answer always includes the other. We like that. We do that. The I has disappeared from the vocabulary. This fusion of identities seems romantic in the movies. In real life, it's a silent prison, because you build everything according to the couple. Career adjusted to the plans of the other. House chosen together. Synchronized routine. Shared dreams. And in the midst of it all, their individual desires turn into selfishness. His personal plans become betrayal. So breaking up is not just losing a person. It is losing an entire version of yourself. It's looking in the mirror and not knowing who's there. Because that person was built for the sake of another. It was molded to fit, to complement, to serve the dynamics of the relationship. You're afraid to leave because you don't know who will be on the other side. Can you make decisions on your own? Were his tastes really his own or just reflections of what he experienced? Does it have enough personality to exist independently? These questions paralyze you. So you stay. It remains half of something even if that something is broken. It continues to use shared identity as a shield against the responsibility to build one's own. Because reinventing who you are is a lot more work than just continuing to play a role you've already memorized. But identity is not something you lose when you leave a relationship. It's something you get back. That person who existed before. Those dreams that were shelved. Those desires that were silenced. All of this is still within you, just waiting for permission to resurface. And that permission only comes when you have the courage to exist again as an individual, complete, entire, alone. 6. The dangerous comfort of predictability. You know exactly how the day is going to be. He wakes up next to the same person, drink the same coffee. There are the same shallow conversations, watch the same programs, he sleeps the same way, and he wakes up the next day to repeat everything again. There is a strange security in this. Humans are creatures of habit. Our brains love patterns because they save energy. When something is predictable, you don't have to think. You don't need to adapt. You don't need to create new strategies. It just follows the script. Even if this script makes you unhappy, at least you know it by heart. The dead relationship becomes an automated routine. You don't talk anymore, but you know each other's moves. They no longer touch each other, but respect the spaces. They no longer dream together, but they share the bills. It's like living with a flatmate who happens to sleep in the same bed. Cold, mechanic, but predictable. And predictability calms anxiety. You don't have to deal with surprises. You don't have to face the unknown. You don't have to take emotional risks. Everything is controlled within this bubble of monotony. It may be boring, but it is not threatening. Ending means bursting that bubble. It means plunging into the chaos of the unpredictable. You don't know where you're going to live, with whom he will share moments. How will you organize your life? Every day becomes a question mark. And your brain, addicted to security, goes into alert mode. He prefers known boredom to unknown enthusiasm. But this comfort is killing you little by little, because life is not about predictability. Life is about growth. And growth only happens in discomfort, in the new, in the risky, in uncharted territory. You've been in your comfort zone for so long that you've forgotten what it's like to feel something real. The routine anesthetized you. You don't feel bored anymore because you're used to it. He no longer feels lonely because he has normalized it. He no longer feels a lack of affection because he has learned to live without. And that is not peace. It is resignation. It is giving up disguised as maturity. The danger of predictability is that it makes you believe that everything is fine. What a relationship is that? That passion is the stuff of a movie. That stability is worth more than happiness. But when you finally break this cycle, you discover something scary. You've spent years just existing, not living, just complying with the protocol of a relationship that died a long time ago, but no one had the courage to bury it. 7. The paralysis of what if. What if you're making the biggest mistake of your life? What if that person is the best you'll find? What if it's worse abroad? What if you regret it? What if no one else wants you? These questions consume you. They paralyze you. They keep you stuck in eternal indecision. Your brain has a cruel mechanism. He overestimates the risks of the unknown and underestimates the cost of the present. Can you imagine 1,000 bad scenarios about breaking up, loneliness, repentance, failure? But he cannot clearly see the price he is paying now. Daily unhappiness, time passing, life not lived. There is also the fantasy of, maybe it will get better. Maybe if you go to couples therapy. Maybe if you travel together. Maybe if they have a child. Maybe they move to another city. You set conditions for happiness that never come. And each one maybe gives you an excuse to postpone the decision a little longer. But the what if works both ways. What if you stay and waste the best years of your life? What if there is someone perfect for you, but you will never meet because you are stuck? What if the happiness you seek is on the other side of fear? What if the mistake is not ending, but continuing? The truth is that there is no certainty. It will never exist. You can break up and regret it. Or you can break up and discover an amazing life. Or you can stay and things get better. Or he can stay and die of regret at the age of 80. There is no way of knowing. But while you don't decide, you are deciding. Is choosing the current status. He is voting for continuity, and every day of indecision is a day you don't recover. Paralysis does not protect you from error. It only ensures that you continue on the path that you already know doesn't serve you. The fear of making mistakes prevents you from getting it right. The fear of losing something bad prevents you from gaining something good. The fear of the unknown traps you in the unfortunate known. And you stay there, eternally thinking, analyzing, weighing pros and cons, while life slips through your fingers. There is no perfect decision. There is only a decision. And not deciding is choosing others to decide for you. It is choosing that time decides. It is choosing that circumstances decide. While you wait for absolute certainty, the opportunity to start over ages along with you. And when you finally have the courage, it may be too late. Not to start over, but to recover the time he spent frozen in the what if. 8. The day you finally leave. It doesn't happen suddenly. It's not an explosion. It is a silent accumulation. Day after day you keep small disappointments, small disrespects, small deaths of what could have been. Until one day, something minimal happens. One sentence, a gesture, a look, and you realize it's over. It's not anger, it's not hate, it's tiredness. You just don't have the energy to keep going, to pretend, to try, to believe that it will get better. And this clarity comes as a strange relief. Scary, but liberating. The body knows before the mind. You notice that you no longer feel that tightness in your chest when you think about breaking up. He realizes that he no longer cares about fights. Who doesn't feel jealous? Who doesn't expect anything? His nervous system turned off the alarm, he gave up fighting. And now you just wait for your consciousness to catch up with that truth. When you finally speak, the words come out different. No drama, no charges, just observation. I can't do it anymore, I need to go. And at that moment you realize that you were long gone. Only the body remained by inertia. The first few days are strange. You feel relief and panic at the same time. He feels freedom and emptiness. He asks if he did it right. He thinks about going back. But something has changed inside you. That door that is closed no longer opens as easily. And then the process of rebuilding begins. To remember who you were before. To find out who he can become now. It's not fast. It's not easy. There are days when you miss it. Not of the person, but of the routine. Of the predictable. Of the known. But deep down, you know you wouldn't come back. Gradually, you fill in the space that was left empty. With new friends, new places, new interests. And he realizes that life is not over. It just started again. And this new beginning, even scary, has something that has been missing for years. Possibility. You look back and see how long you stayed out of fear, how much time you wasted trying to save something that was already dead. And he feels a mixture of regret and gratitude. Regret for lost time, gratitude for finally finding courage. Because leaving is not failure, it's honesty, it's respect for yourself. It's recognizing that you deserve more than just surviving in a relationship. He deserves to live, feel, grow. And that doesn't happen when you're stuck in something that no longer serves you. The day you leave is the day you come back. He returns to himself, for your dreams, to your essence, and you discover that the person you most needed to find was inside you all along. Just waiting for permission to exist again. Complete. Free. Hooray.